All right, here goes. 15 albums that I can't live without from the 1970s, early 70s. A lot of blues rock, hard rock is where I'm going with this one. And I have some albums to show you. This was tough. Now, is it over the top to think, 15 albums that I can't live without from the 1970s? Not really. Extreme? No, because with all these records, on occasion I do think, what if, I left our comfortable home here in Reno and we lived abroad for 3, 4, 5, 6 months a year. I'd want to bring records with me. And at first, I'm not going to ship them all over there. I'm not going to do a big old box and pay for the shipping. I would take a number of records in my suitcase and carry on over there to Thailand, where I like to go, where we go every year. So I'm going to get started and show you these. This was not easy to do. This really wasn't. Now here's a little band that was formed in Los Angeles, and the original Deep Purple singer is here, guys. Bobby Caldwell from Johnny Winter's band, and Larry Reinhardt and Lee Dorham from Iron Butterfly, and that's Captain Beyond. This is coming with me, guys. Just such a cooking great album. I love this album. And this does have the 3D cover. And I scored this at Zia Records in Las Vegas, Nevada, at the new location down on Warm Springs Road. And this is just cool. I just spun this. And by the way, half of these records I just listened to this morning and throughout the week, selecting this for the video. And the next record that I would bring, and these are not ranked, there's about 15 records. This is a band. This has Phil Lynott, guys. Phil Lynott. You got Robbo. You got Brian Downey on drums. Scott Gorham, of course. And the great, I said it, I'm going to say it again, the great Phil Lynott on bass, on vocals. Jailbreak. Love this album. And this was originally released in 1976 on Vertigo. Yeah. And this is a beautiful copy. It has the die cut here. And this is a repress, but this just sounds wonderful. Really, really does. I'll show you here. And this would, this was a little spendy. I think it was $35 to $40, but I needed a good copy of Jailbreak. I had one a long time ago. I remember when this album was released, Cowboy Song, all of it. Man, so good. Now, another band from Flint, Michigan, right? And you know where I'm going with this. And if I'm going to take one record, it's got to be BAM, Mark, Don, and Mel, because it's all here, guys. It's all here. Absolutely. We got Time Machine, Into the Sun, Heartbreaker, Feeling All Right, Foot Stomping Music, Paranoid, Loneliness, Are You Ready, Mean Mistreater, TNUC, Inside Looking Out, and Closer to Home, I'm Your Captain, Killer, Grand Funk, originally Grand Funk Railroad, love it. Now, another band. Now this guitarist, he had to leave his original band. He had to, because he's just so good, and he's heavy, he's more rock, and that's Robin Trower. And everybody loves Bridge of Sighs, but I love Twice Removed from Yesterday. This is my favorite Trower album, and this was, James Dewar on vocals is just so awesome. And this album alone for Daydream, I just love it. This is from 1973, and I just remember with this album, I used to, when it would come on the FM radio, I would just pull over and just sit there and listen to Robin's guitar solo. So here we go for Twice Removed from Yesterday, Robin Trower. That's coming with me, absolutely. And now here's another band that was named after a John Lee Hooker song. And, I just wasn't in, I heard about these guys years ago. I heard a little bit, but they just weren't really big here on the west coast of the United States, on the far west. And guys, that's, the album is Thank Christ for the Bomb, and that's Groundhogs. And this is just killer. These were all on Liberty Records. This is a UK press. And yeah, they were all originally released on Liberty. And this one's from 1970. And I do want to get the next record. You can tell me what that is. From 1971, their very next release. I gotta get it. So this is very, very cool. Love this album. And these are all albums. Now, I'm not going to really get into metal. You know, this is all blues, hard rock, pretty much, and proto-metal, pretty much, heavily on the early 70s and a couple of titles from the latter part of the decade. And so Groundhogs is on that Liberty label. This is a UK press. Really, really nice to have that. Now, here's a band that's definitely proto-metal, influenced bands like Y&T. This is also a San Francisco band. Rat down in San Diego. And really, really influenced so many metal bands from the 80s. And that is Montrose. And I just love this album. This has got to come with me. I mean, we got Bill Church on bass, Denny Karamasi on drums, Ronnie Montrose, and Sammy Hagar. Lean, mean, and young, great vocals, wonderful album, Rock Candy, Make It Last, Bad Motor Scooter, awesome, and this is just a very, very clean copy. That's coming with me. Now, another record, you know, I remember listening to this song in 1970 in the backseat and hearing that Jimi Hendrix had just died, and that was free. That was All Right Now. And I've been listening to this record for so long. Finally got into it in the late 70s, Fire and Water. This is by far my favorite free album. I mean, Simon Kirke is so amazing. Paul Rodgers, you know, he's really more of a soul singer. You know, he really, really is. I mean, blues, but he's a soul singer. The great Andy Fraser and Paul Kossoff. And he was from Black Hat Bones originally. You know, a lot of different members went in and out of Black Hat Bones. But, I mean, you know, Mr. Big on here. Fire and Water. Remember, Don't Say You Love Me. Yeah, man. Fire and Water. Now, another band that I absolutely love and have only been into for about the past 4 years. And that is Budgie from Wales. Man, Budgie is just so good. And this is, you know, this one is Never Turn Your Back on a Friend. I've spun this one 3 times in the past month. This is my favorite. I mean, they're all good. All the Budgie albums are great. And you have Burke Shelley, you know, on bass and vocals. Just so cool. Tony and Ray Phillips on drums. And this Roger Dean artwork is just beautiful. Of course, Roger Dean did all the Yes albums. And here for a nice gatefold for this Budgie album. I have about 5 Budgie on repress. No, I have one original, and then 5 repress, 6 total. I'm really into Budgie for hard rock. Now, another hard rock album, a little later than the early 70s, and this is a little band from Down Under. And guys, that's AC/DC, Power Age. Bam! And what's really cool is that Harry Vanda produced this one, and he was the lead guitarist in Easy Beats. He was originally from the Netherlands, of course, grew up in Australia. And man, I mean, you know, kicked in the teeth. Gone Shootin' is my favorite track here. Sin City. Every single track is so good. And again, I'm not doing any Def Leppard. I've left a few albums out. I'm not really doing any metal, Judas Priest, Def Leppard, that sort of thing. But let's continue on with the hard rock of the early 70s and the mid 70s. And next up is a guy that's definitely hard rock, blues rock, and this is Irish Tour 74 Rory Gallagher, or Gallagher. And he hails from Donegal, born in Donegal. They moved him down to Cork, so he grew up in Cork, but both counties claim the great late Rory Gallagher. And this one is just so incredible. Irish Tour 74, but I'm going to have to include one more Rory Gallagher, and this is really my favorite, and I really prefer him as a power trio. This one's live in Europe from 1972, and there's just a perfect Messin' with a Kid on here, and the Bullfrog Blues cannot be beat. Going to my hometown, Laundromat, the Albert King song that he did so many times, Rory just tears it up on Laundromat. And then him solo on acoustic guitar. I could have had Religion and Pistol Slapper Blues, old-timey blues tunes. Again, live in Europe, Rory Gallagher, my favorite. I got to take that. Now, my absolute favorite album by this band, and guys, that's Houses of the Holy. Yeah, this is my favorite Zepp. It absolutely is. The song remains the same, Over the Hills and Far Away. Every track here, wonderful. And, you know, Jimmy Page's pentatonic guitar solo on The Song Remains the Same is just so cool. I mean, it's just a monster album with that Hypnosis cover, right? So this is coming with me. Yes, it is. Now, on my next trip, I'll bring another bundle of albums, too. And this little band here from England, yes, Black Sabbath, Paranoid. This is the one. This is my favorite. I really, I'd have to say I enjoy the first two Sabbath releases the very best. All the other ones, you know, 4, Masters of Reality, they're all right behind the Sabbath debut and this album. And of course you have Tony Iommi, Bill Ward, Geezer Butler, and Ozzy. I really feel that he's probably, if you had to say, one of the best, if not one of the best rock and roll singers, rock singers ever. And the opening with War Pigs, Into Paranoid, Planet Caravan, Iron Man, Side 2, Electric Funeral, Hand of Doom, Rat Salad, and Fairies Wear Boots. Beautiful. Now, in 1978, I was 21 years old. And this little album, you know, hit the airwaves, man. And it didn't matter what you were listening to, if you were my age. The debut Van Halen just took it by storm, absolutely. And, you know, what's really a shame is David Lee Roth. You know, if it's not broke, you know, you don't fix it, man. He just should have never left the band. He should have, you know, Alex Van Halen says that. I mean, it's just, to me, he blew it. You know, leaving the band was just silly. At the top of their game, one of the biggest bands in the land, Van Halen, love this, saw them in 79, and some people say, well, Dave, you know, wasn't that great of a singer. No, man. On all the studio albums, it's perfect, and when I saw him live, he sounded great. I was up close, just fantastic. Now, here's an album from the UK, and this is the first album from the Mark II lineup, and that would be In Rock, Deep Purple. And what's pretty cool about this is, I mean, here Richie just shreds, and this is a really hard and heavy album. And the way John Lord, you know, doubles up Richie's lines and Roger Glover's bass lines with his heavy Hammond B3 organ just makes it just heavy, hard rock, just really, really great. Now, here's a band that I didn't really get into until much later. And now I'm just so glad that I have these records on vinyl. And this is, guys, this is the live album from 79. This is Strangers in the Night. No, it's not a Frank Sinatra cover. Bam, UFO. And Michael Schenker is just so incredible. And what's cool about this record is Schenker doesn't overdub any of his tracks. It's all his original takes from the performances. I'm pretty sure most of these were from shows in Chicago, but I love this album. Many of you are very well versed in this album, but I'm getting into it as of late more and more. and I have about 6 or 7 UFO albums. So I'm really, really pleased to be into UFO more and more in the last 4 or 5 years. Now, these last 2 albums I've been listening to since release. And this album here, Peter Frampton was already gone, guys, and that's Humble Pie Smokin'. Yes. And you got Hot and Nasty here. This is a heavy album, especially with those Steve Marriott soulful, bluesful vocals, just unbelievable. You got the Fixer, their Eddie Cochran cover of Come On Everybody, Old Time Feelin', Roadrunner, I Wonder, 30 Days in the Hole, and here they are. My favorite Humble Pie album, absolutely. And the last one I'm going to show you, and I know you have albums, you know, that I left out that are your favorites. Let me know what your favorites are. But my last one is almost speechless because it's Aqualung, Jethro Tull, my very favorite album of Tull. Incredible album. And this is the one that's, you know, it's very, very, very hard rock and with a lot of English folk. It just has a little bit of everything. And Ian Anderson is one of my favorite acoustic guitar players of all time. Just absolutely wonderful. Well, thanks so much. And next week I'll be back out into the wild picking at thrift stores. And you'll have to come along with me, and I'll see you next Wednesday for another video. Thanks for watching.